Hello, welcome to the New Economy. What's next? My name is Rahming Jr. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at ArawakX, and today we have a special guest, this Chairman and CEO of ArawakX, Mr. Rahming Sr. He's also my dad. So today we're going to talk about financial inclusion and reasons why we are doing this and the benefits we view this as having to the wider society. So stay tuned. If you are a business person that is looking to grow your business in the new economy, this show is for you. My name is Rahming Jr. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at ArawakX, a financial services firm. I'm a serial entrepreneur, futurist, and technologist. I studied robotics and after university chose to build my international business from the Bahamas. With all that is going on in the world, one thing is certain. The businesses that will survive and thrive have to evolve or die. This show will answer the question, what's next for us? What's next for the new economy? Join us on the new economy. What's next? All right. So, Dad, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. I'm excited to be a guest on it. And let me say that we don't have to social distance.
No, because we're social distancing together because
that's right, as a family.
Yeah. You're the chairman and CEO of ArawakX. Why don't you give some people a little bit of background of who you are and how you got into this?
Sure. I went to Northwestern University for electrical engineering, and there I discovered a love for systems and creating solutions for people. And so I worked largely in the technology field as a technical person. While at Northwestern, I got an MBA as well. And in getting the MBA, I managed to work with a lot of talented young people who were looking for talent. One of them came out. He was looking to get someone to run this major project. So I went from running some labs at a university to running a $100 million system called GlobeX, being a part of that management team. Quite exciting. GlobeX was an attempt which succeeded to create the world's first electronic futures trading exchange.
And so for people at home, what that means is putting the technology into one of the largest financial markets in the world, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Right.
So go on.
So I came home and I worked for a large retailer as a chief financial officer. I wanted to come back home and make a contribution here. And I saw that the new stock exchange was starting up. And so I became the first chief operating officer of the new stock exchange, BISX as we know it. Let's just say that we had a difference in opinion of direction. And so I left there, and for 20 years, I went into the management consulting field, keeping my eye on which technologies were available for exchanges. Then you came home in 2012 with an engineering degree and began to work with me in the management consulting. And so that led to us forming a company and us creating ArawakX, an exchange based on innovation, dynamicism, and growing the Bahamian economy.
So in management consulting, before I came home, you were working with businesses of all sizes, correct?
Yes, everyone from the rasta selling peanuts on the street to major corporations, major insurance companies. I just loved and was fascinated by the idea that Bahamians had an entrepreneurial spirit that we had not yet tapped into. And so anywhere that I could help, I helped. Sometimes I was paid, sometimes I was paid well, sometimes I was not paid at all. But in each instance, I learned.
Yeah, and what were some of the issues from the smallest person to the biggest kind of company that you saw?
Our companies have what we would call corporate governance. We have a poor corporate governance. We are not well structured. We do not use technology well. That is from the smallest company to the largest company. If you talk to a company here and you were to take a comparative company in the United States, even with a similar book of business, you would see that they are not using technology in the way it was intended to enhance their business, to make their business have a disaster recovery plan, to make their business enable their employees to work at 10 times what they're working. Very low productivity, very low use of technology across the board.
Yeah, and so when I came home, one of the big elements what we were starting to do was make sure to put some of that structure into these companies and organizations. And then, of course, they saw it on their bottom line. Now, what was the second biggest problem that every company kind of here suffered from?
Well, money. We just simply don't have enough money. That's why people cringe from buying technology and improving their processes and paying people well. We don't make enough money, from the person who is sweeping the floors to the CEO. We simply don't have enough money in the society, and so to do what we need to do to be competitive. A lot of quality issues that we have, like one of the cultural beliefs is that we can't compete with the United States. Yet Bahamians like myself go out and be top in divisions and compete with the United States and Canada and Europe all the time, compete coming right from these schools. All the time they come into the universities, they're competitive, they go into the American and the workforce, they're competitive. The difference, of course, being that we don't believe that we have the capacity to pay. So a lot of times we try to accomplish major tasks with minimum wage type people, and we take people and we're not able to pay them properly.
Yeah. So you end up with a mismatch between skills, or you might find a very talented person, but you can't keep them because, obviously they're going to go look for greener pastures, or you would find it's very difficult to attract the level of talent you need at the price points you're willing to pay. And it all stems from that. Now, this leads nicely into the purpose of financing, which is, of course...
Well, we have to think of business as an entire ecosystem where there are different players, such as the banks, such as the government, such as the regulations, such as the accountants and the people that are available. And we have done a great job, I must say, in this country of actually creating a tremendous ecosystem. A lot of laws, such as the Commercial Enterprises Act, are very positive for us. We have a beautiful, safe country where people exist in harmony. We have our political differences, but even within the same house, these things. And so there's this environment, but the environment needs tools. And one of the tools that I noticed was missing was a financial exchange geared towards innovation and growth. Mm-hmm. And this is the tool that Arawak brings to the table. You see, by growth, we think of growth often here as getting a big touristic venture in, and something like a Bahama or an Atlantis to pay thousands and thousands, 5,000, higher 5,000 people. But with that size, there's tremendous risk.
Mm-hmm. You're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yes. So now what's starting to happen is that the focus has shifted to the small business to be not one huge company, but maybe 1,000 small companies.
The reason that I asked you onto the show today, because I think as we are launching, I think it's important that people understand the faces behind ArawakX and the reasons why we're doing it. And what is, we're stepping back away from us, what are some of the things that are important for a properly functioning society? Like, what will this exchange bring to the society?
We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsor. At ArawakX, we understand that for businesses to grow, they need capital to hire staff, buy equipment, and fuel innovative ideas. We support this process by using technology years of business acumen, and a world-class team to get business the investment they need to get to the next level. If you are a business owner and need between $100,000 and $3 million, contact us today. We will schedule a meeting over the phone or video chat. Get on the path to your dreams. ArawakX. Dream bigger. I've been blessed to grow up in a business family. The most important thing I've learned from them was to listen to experts' stories, learn from their successes, try to avoid their mistakes, and copy best practices. In the New Economy TV show, we are bringing innovative experts that are growth focused. This show is for entrepreneurs, business leaders, and policymakers. Join me and my guests every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. on our TV. The New Economy. What's next?
Stepping back away from us, what are some of the things that are important for a properly functioning society? Like, what will this exchange bring to the society?
Well, largely, I think it's financial inclusion and a path, a tool for wealth for everybody, regardless of their station in life. So one of the things that it brings to this society is the ability for someone who is at a very, just making a living, to be able to invest and to participate into the growth of the economy. People now are watching buildings go up and they don't know where they come from. They see Chinese people walking out of them. They hear things in the news, etc. So what ArawakX is doing is saying that, okay, all of us can participate in this. You may only earn 1%, own 1% of it, and I may own 50% of it, but we both own it. So it turns on upside down the idea that there's these owners and the operators and the slaves, but it takes everybody and puts them in the ownership category, because we know that when people own things, they take better care of it.
And not only that, there's the participation at the ownership level, but also by being properly funded, then they can properly staff up companies. They can properly
exactly. You know,
we're talking, and by the way, we're talking about companies of a size large enough to pay taxes. Because at the end of the day, you know, we do need government institutions. We do need these things. We have a huge looming debt problem that we have to solve, and the only way to solve that is through tax.
Yes, and we decided to focus on companies looking to raise between $100,000 and $3 million, because these early stages are where a lot of the innovation is and a lot of the value is. So when a company is first growing, it can grow quite large, 100 times, 1,000 times before it goes to the general public, before everybody hears about it. But the problem is that people can't participate at the beginning stages. And the argument always has been that, well, you know, this guy doesn't understand how to participate at the beginning stages. Everybody knows what they want to do with their money, because everybody has a use for their money, whether you're a millionaire or whether you're a guy just making ends meet. You know what you want to do with your money, because your money creates your value system. And everybody, whether they're a millionaire or they are just barely making it, often has a problem with not having enough money.
Yeah, it's interesting how there's this lot of social tension, because there's a certain perception. Why don't you talk about the perception of how the society is working?
Yes, well, no one really understands this, and I understand this from pastoral care. people don't understand how others are making it. And they feel disconnected from others. But we have the great examples of the Asian tigers. And then you have the Irish, which I like to use the Irish model because, first of all, a lot of us have a little Irish in our background.
You see it from the last names.
Yes, you can see it from the last names. And also the Irish, 40 years ago, no one hates each other more than the Irish hated each other. And they were hating each other to the point where just between religion, they were busy killing each other. Yet they were able to transform their country and grow it from $14 billion, which is around the size of our GDP, to $382 billion.
In 40 years.
In 40 years.
Yeah.
So that means the guy went from, Seamus O'Grady went from riding a bicycle to driving a Mercedes. And so it's possible for us to not only grow our economy by these 2% and 1% and the other things these IDB fellas are telling you, but actually to grow it by doubling it.
Yeah.
Grow it by 8%, 10%, 12%, 100%. If you get into the right markets, if you position yourself right. And that's what ArawakX is here to do, to provide a tool.
So that businesses can do that.
Yes, not only Bahamian businesses, but also to tap into that American entrepreneurship business, entrepreneurial spirit, where any business from America or from the Bahamas can access markets in America or around the rest of the world through our exchange, and therefore enable tremendous growth, because rather than just being a pass-through, people will have to headquarter here. You see, one of the great things about the Bahamas is it's a great place to live. It's a safe place to live. Don't let anybody tell you any different. I've been around the world. This is a great country and a safe country to walk around, and you can practically go anywhere. And it's safer than most of the places that people are coming from.
Okay.
So the Bahamas is a great place to live. It's a great place to do business. We now have the technical infrastructure, we have the laws, we have the regulation, and we now have the fundraising mechanism for a firm to come here. We calculate the value of a cruise ship tourist and we say it's not enough, it's too little, too many people coming and not spending a lot of money. We look over the stopover visitors and say, oh, well, that's a better metric for us. How about getting someone to put their headquarters here? That's the greatest metric at all. They will be paying rents, they will be paying salaries.
They got to they got to put their kids in school, they got to buy food from the grocery stores, they need to be, their homes need to be serviced, they need to, all kinds of spin-offs.
And the biggest deal of it all is that with the exchange, we, the Bahamian people, the people living in the Bahamas, can become owners in their firms. So you're not just having some foreigner come in, use your country to pass through trillions of dollars, which you never get any benefit from, but actually, or you get a small benefit from, some licensing fee or something. But you actually own this company or a portion of this company through shareholders, through being a shareholder. So the mechanism for that is something like ArawakX, where you have a rule set to make sure that the minority partners and the majority partners are protected, that the laws of the securities are being properly enforced, so people feel safe in putting in their money in an investment, knowing that every company that comes through here is properly vetted, has proper management, has proper reporting mechanisms, has shareholder agreements, and has somebody that can, if necessary, be punitive to stop investors' money from being stolen.
Yeah, we're not a fund. We actually work with a lot of partners that are that manage funds. But what we do is we provide an environment for bringing buyers and sellers together.
Yes, ArawakX is an exchange, a rule set, a way of putting in your money safely, and it is a way of a company representing itself. And to check that you are who you say you are. You're not Osama bin Laden trying to wash some money through here. Or we want to get rid of this idea of that we're some jurisdiction where you come to hide stuff. No, we're a jurisdiction that creates wealth for people. Our companies, like agribusinesses, they make something. They add value to people's lives. You know, we have companies looking into us that want to be headquartered here, that pharmaceutical companies and things like that. They make things that make a difference. You can go and visit their operations. You can speak to the founders of the company. You can participate at the events in their brands. We make something, and we want to change away from that idea that we're somewhere that, you know, where we kind of hide money for you or somewhere shady to go.
No, and it's important to understand. Maybe it's because of your background and upbringing, being in the Midwest, where you see Chicago is the place where industry and finance meets, because there are many thousands of, I'll put the exact statistic on their manufacturing. It's the agribusiness center of the United States. All of the food processing plants are in Chicago. That's why the Merck is there. That's why all of the businesses that get financed. The Midwest is kind of the breadbasket and the industrial heartland of America. So we've seen this.
Yes, and I've also seen the attitude of the Midwesterner that anything is possible, and how they use their markets. This idea that in order for a person to become wealthy, they have to first save for 6 months in some bank account and then put that money into some kind of investment through some fund manager. I'm sure that idea works. I never seen it work for anybody, but I'm sure that, it works. What I've seen work, though, in the Midwest is a guy drive up in his Volkswagen Beetle and start to learn about the markets, and within a year he's driving a Mercedes. That I've seen. The other stuff I haven't seen, and maybe nobody in my family was able to have that discipline to last those 50 years, getting those bank fees eaten at them to save that money to come to some level of prosperity.
No, it's important because I think a lot of people's experience with the U.S. is mainly on the East Coast. Florida is a thing unto itself, kind of retirees, vacations, that kind of those kind of industries, entertainment. The East Coast is largely financial services driven, but more on the like fund management, wealth management. Same thing with London, whereas we're engineers. We're trained by Germans. We make things.
Right, and the important thing is that we can tap into these things, because one of the cultural impediments here is people do not believe that we can be competitive. That's why you see a lot of anxiety whenever it comes to competing. Bahamians are very aggressive towards one another. We call it, black crab, or we have different names for it, or what have you. But the truth of the matter is that one of the reasons that we cannot be competitive is we don't have enough money to buy the farms, or to buy the equipment, and to pay the staff, and to pay the proper help. Because when we look at who is actually here, and we look, for example, one of the agribusinesses that we're dealing with, the guy has a master's in chemical engineering from a top brand university.
Yeah, like a top 50 university
in the United States. Yourself. We keep driving these people away because they don't have the tools and the capacity to develop in the way they want to develop. So they become frustrated and they go away. Yes, it's true. You will never compete if you're not properly funded and if you don't have proper governance and proper technology. But ArawakX is here to make that dream a reality.
We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsor. Think direct ownership of the Bahamian pie isn't for you? Think again. At ArawakX, we believe in the ingenuity of the Bahamian people. These times are uncertain and unprecedented, but we know that in every crisis there is an opportunity to add value to people's lives. To this, we understand that new businesses will be formed and old ideas whose time has finally come will be realized. We see this in industries long been ignored by traditional financial services and by society at large, particularly in our digital businesses, agribusiness, fishing, manufacturing, and even new touristic ventures. Due to our present circumstances, these businesses have finally been brought to the forefront. ArawakX seeks to give your ideas and your participation a means of making your financial dreams a reality. We give businesses and investors tools needed to finance them. Business is a complicated thing, with many moving and changing parts that often require multidisciplinary teams to turn ideas into reality. While no one can truly say which businesses will make it and thrive and which will not, there are certain formulaic traits that successful businesses have. This is why we here at ArawakX place such a high emphasis on corporate governance and the structure it brings to give companies the best chance at growth and expansion. ArawakX operates a regulated and financially inclusive platform that combines modern technology with best practices and a world-class team to bring together businesses and investors at every level, allowing wider participation in ownership of companies. So here's how it works. Investors, both foreign and local, individual and institutional, can view offerings and directly invest into these companies. We have spent several years and invested greatly in our staff and technology processes. We are doing this by greatly expanding the ease of investment. In other words, people will be able to participate in promising new ventures for as little as $50. The ethos of our institution is that of financial inclusion. And in this spirit, we ourselves will be a publicly traded company. In these next few months, as we roll out our platform, know that we view ourselves as an integral part of a wider societal change, the change that brings ownership, opportunity to everyone. We are pleased to work with our partners in industry, government, civil society, and the people in making the Bahamas the best little nation on this planet. As a first step, we have put together a free online course, the Intelligent Bahamian Investor Masterclass, that will give you some of the basics to investing. This can be found at invest242.com. ArawakX, dream bigger. I've been blessed to grow up in a business family. The most important thing I've learned from them was to listen to experts' stories, learn from their successes, try to avoid their mistakes, and copy best practices. In the New Economy TV show, we are bringing innovative experts that are growth-focused. This show is for entrepreneurs, business leaders, and policymakers. Join me and my guests every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. on our TV. The New Economy. What's next?
We keep driving these people away because they don't have the tools and the capacity to develop in the way they want to develop. So they become frustrated and they go away. Yes, it's true. You will never compete if you're not properly funded and if you don't have proper governance and proper technology. But ArawakX is here to make that dream a reality. In fact, when people come in, it's really sad for me because many of them have already been beaten and bruised down by the system, where they, go in, they have this idea for this huge project, and the guy ends up trying to either sell them a truck or buy some equipment, and it doesn't match their business cycle, so there's no way they'd be able to pay it back. And one of the things we often have to say to people, as you know, is go back and
dream bigger.
Dream bigger. Tell us what you really need.
Yeah.
If someone's going to invest their money in you, they need to know that you can survive the next 6 months if you make a mistake. Mm-hmm. If someone's going to invest bigger in you, you have to have a greater story to tell, and then people will invest in you because they will see that you have the market, you have access to the market, you have the experience, you have the team, and
all of the legal and all of the
yes.
all of the protections that a regulated space provides.
Right, and that's on the business side. That's where the management consultant helped, because I saw there were products here where if this guy were properly funded and properly schooled, they could become international products.
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.